Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're playing Final Fight Revenge here for the Sega Saturn, where I get to play Poison, one of the few games, retro games, that actually allows that to happen. And I've talked a lot about Final Fight Revenge and how it's kind of my, I don't know, my holy grail game. It's impossible to get this in a working format. I did it once on my phone and really enjoyed that. And now I'm playing it again, but on something that I also got for Christmas. And what did I get? I got this, the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. I'll just give you some light here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is the handheld that allows me to actually play this thing, and I'm really enjoying it. This thing is great. Oh, Poison lost. Oh well. This thing allows me to play Saturn games and a bunch of others, and this thing is fantastic. It's been on my radar for a while. People have got a lot of these around, and I know the Ambernick, for example, has done several different handhelds sort of like this, and there's a bunch of others. Odin something, those have also got this. Droid. There's a whole bunch of different people making handhelds, and I'd always thought, you know what? When these things can play the Saturn, then I'm interested. And this was one of the first that actually had this as one of the options. It could play Saturn games. I'm like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I'll finally be able to play Final Fight Revenge in a handheld? This is great. And the price is really good. This was like $99 US and a little bit of shipping, so a very reasonable price, and it has some great functionality. There's things that people don't like it too much, and it's actually now been surpassed by the Retroid Pocket 3 and the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. But I'm very happy with this smaller one. This is the 2 Plus. I thought long and hard about whether or not to get this. I've got it now. I'm extremely happy. Let's just adjust the focus here. So why do I like this one? Why did I choose this over the Retroid Pocket 3 or the 3 Plus that has come out since? First of all, this has got a 4x3 screen, which for me is perfect because I'm going to be playing retro stuff on this. I'm not going to be playing... There are some modern Android games that I can play on, which I will show later, but this is actually able to do all of the old school 4x3 video games that I've always wanted to play. So for me, it was always going to be a 2 Plus. I like how small this thing is. It's about the size of a Nintendo DS, roughly. And I like the fact that it has the 4x3 screen. On the 3, you get a 4x3 with just black bars on either side, and then you can play modern Android stuff. That's fine or whatever. I don't care. Just turn those guys down a bit. They're a little bit loud. But I like this form factor. I like the size of this screen. And on the topic of the Ambernicks and all those other ones that came before it and are also out there on the market, I gotta give a big shout out to Retro Dodo. They did a video a little while ago about things to be aware of with the Chinese handheld market these days, and the host actually showed a footage. Now, it's not for anything Ambernick or Retroid, but he showed footage of somebody rubbing their foot on the plastic shell of a handheld that their factory was making, and I just thought, ew, I'm out. I don't want it. I don't know what it is China is sending out into the world, but I do not want it if that's the kind of quality assurance that we can look forward to. So forget it. However, this one has been on the market for like a year and has had really positive reviews. Everybody loves this thing and the 3. And the price is good. There have been a long stretch of people saying very good things about the Retroid brand. And I just thought, well, you know what? It's Christmas time. It's a very reasonable price tag. Yes, I'm going to go for this because I've always wanted a Saturn. And now I've got a Saturn. But not only that, I'm going to be able to hook up all kinds of other all other kinds of consoles to this thing and play a huge variety of stuff on my commute or around the house. This is really great. This is going to work for me. So, it's going to be a bit of a lengthy video, this one, and I might as well start it off right at the beginning. Let me show you how the unboxing went. Okay, so let's open up the box it comes in. And I'm very curious. Oh, that's nice. It's got a little way to lift it out. There is the Retroid Pocket 2 box. Okay, cool. Now, how the heck do you open this? Again, lots of people have set these things up and done unboxings, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but whoa, oh, okay. Comes with a cable. Good, USB-C? I think it is USB-C. Good stuff. Put that up there. And a little instruction booklet. Okay. Screen protector inside there. But here we go. This is my first time seeing this thing in the flesh. And I think I've got it upside down, I can tell already. Ta-da! Secondary. Ta-da! There we go. Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. How are these buttons? Now, I've heard people say these buttons are very stiff. Yeah, they are a little. Maybe they will loosen up in time. Triggers. Oh, triggers feel pretty good. And shoulder buttons. Ooh, they feel really good. Okay, so let's hope these things get maybe a little softer in time. Not bad, though. I went with the black because I remember when the Nintendo DS Lite came out, I think the first version they were showing around was the white one. I saw a white one in a store, and there's something about a white surround and this black line around the LCD screen made the screen on the DS look smaller somehow. And when I saw the black DS, it didn't seem quite so bad. So when I was choosing this, I went black. Now, one thing a lot of people, there's various function buttons there. 2 speakers, awesome. Card goes in there, memory, or a microphone, a headphone jack. Yes, power. It's got HDMI out, that's awesome. I'm going to be using that later. Yeah, so one thing a lot of people don't like about the 2 Plus is this is a great little analog thumbstick. Good stuff, and I can say yes, that feels real nice to me. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with that stick. But what a lot of people don't like is the other stick. It is not a, can you see there? Like, that is clearly a thumbstick that protrudes up. This one does not, or barely does. This is more a PSP type of slider, and people are like, whoa, that's no good for first-person shooters or anything like that. Honestly, that's okay to me. That has 2 advantages, honestly. Well, not one. One is not an advantage. What I like about the fact this is only a slider is I'm not really going to be playing a lot of super modern-ish, year 2000 onward stuff with this thing. It's going to be mostly D-pad and a couple buttons and some shoulder pads. The occasional thing where I have to reposition the camera will be fine, but I ain't going to be doing a lot of stuff that needs this. It'll be mostly movement and actions and that kind of stuff. The other thing that is a reason this is a big advantage to me is I'm going to be able to slide this thing into a pocket pretty easily, and because it has a very small stick there, as opposed to 2 that stick out like that. Like every time you slide this into a pocket this way, you're going to be nudging that control. So if I always slide it into a pocket that way, I will have a carrying case for it. But if I do it that way, this thing is nice and svelte, and I will be able to get it into a pocket much better. So for me, the fact that this is a slider, not an actual proper thumbstick like this, that's okay. That's got its benefits for me. Okay, so there we go. First impressions. I like it. It feels good in the hands. I'm going to have to get used to the buttons. They do feel a little stiffer than I'm normally a fan of, but I guess we'll find out. I got to put the screen protector on there, and I got to charge it up. So we will be back. Okay, so Retroid Pocket, fully charged, ready to go. Got a green light on the top indicating we have all the power. And I put the little screen protector on there. So now all I have to do is set it up. And this is not going to be that video. I'm not going to show you how to do this yourself because A, the 2 Plus is kind of old information, and B, a lot of people have done it better. In fact, there's 2 YouTube channels I'm going to be using for this. One is actually a local fella, Retro GamesWorld. He's actually done initial setup, and he actually talks about what happens when you turn on your Retroid Pocket 2, your Retroid Pocket 3 for the first time. And for that, I'm going to need a memory card, so I got that standing by. And the other channel is Retro GamesWorld, who's done a whole pile of videos about the Retroid Pocket, different versions. He did 3 months ago the Retroid Pocket 3 starter guide, and that is exactly the same for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, and he goes into very good details. So I'm not going to film this. You can Google all this stuff yourself. I recommend these two channels for everything you ever need to know about this. I'm going to take a while to set all of this up, so I will be back. Okay, having followed Retro GamesWorld's very good tutorials on how to get this thing at least initially set up, I'm pretty happy with the results so far. Now, I've only just scratched the surface here. This is just a kind of getting my feet wet. I will show you. So it is, let me just darken the camera a bit so you can see the screen. There we go. So it is an Android device. Like, it's got the Google Play Store there, and from there I've grabbed a couple of things. I've got, Hard Hunt Down, which is like a Blade Runner little action game, bunch of other stuff. Probably do videos about them someday. But the big one is I want to try out the Retroid launcher here. And with this, we've got the placeholder for all these different emulators. All these different machines are going to be possible. I have yet to go and dig around and make this work. And again, this is not a tutorial. This is my experience. You want to do anything where you're learning how this works, go and check out Retro GamesWorld's video. I'll put a link down below. Sega Saturn is, of course, our objective, but I'm not going to mess with that here. I'm going to do that later. I did place some stuff into some folders just to try it out. Like, for example, in the Sega Genesis folder, I stuck in Star Control, which, as you can see, totally works. I could have a game right now if I'm so desiring. That's really, really awesome. And then if I hit home, yes, I can go back out. And I stuck in some Atari 2600 just to make sure they would work okay. So I've got like Space Invader, which is working just fine. Nice thing is it uses the buttons down here. We've got home, select, and start. So if I hit start, I can do that. Or I can choose one of the many game variations. So you can see up there, we're changing all the different game numbers. So that's very, very cool. Like that. So I've got a rudimentary setup going right now. I'm not going to make this like how to. You want to do that, go check out Retro GamesWorld. What I really want to do is start grabbing examples of each of these things and just try them out. And I'll be back once I've done that. The big one, of course, being Sega Saturn. But give me a little bit and I'm going to configure this thing to do more of the games that have been my objective with this whole thing so far. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of stuff on here that I like, and this has taken a while, hence why I said at the end of December, it's going to be a while till I post some videos. This thing took a while to get to a state that I like. Let me just turn down the brightness so you can actually see the screen. There we go. So yes, I've got, in addition to the Android stuff, I've now got quite a few things on the launcher here that I'm very happy with. Let's go. So you can customize this list the way you like, but I've got, excuse me, I've got some Game Boy Advance stuff now, and I've got some Game Boy Color stuff. So I'll be able to play things like Shantae, for example. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get this. You know how much Shantae goes for nowadays? Forget it. So yeah, I've got quite a few nice games loaded up. Haven't messed with Nintendo 64. Got some NES. Got some Super Nintendo. Even the Retroid Pocket Color. Gonna throw more in there. I'm just trying it all out. Here's a real killer app. This thing can do PSP, and it can do it very well, as a matter of fact. I've thrown a bunch of these on here. Let me just throw on, I don't know, let's try Snoopy, just to show you. There we go. This is one that I've always wanted to play because it was kind of one of those games that I think it was only released in Europe or something like that, and I heard about it. I'm like, oh man, if I had a PSP, I would be getting the Snoopy game. So now I can actually play it. And look at this. It plays really nicely. Which is the shoot button? Is that one? Yeah, there we go. Where is the Red Baron? He's behind me. Yeah, like, look at this. I can play PSP games. And I was worried at first. There he is. I was worried at first, how are they going to do this? Are they going to squeeze in? Because I did find with the Android stuff, and I'll talk about it later, they actually kind of cut off the edges of the screen. And in this case, no, they've done a proper letterbox. So, but you know what? It's certainly quite playable. Ah, he's behind me, and I'm dying. Yikes. Anyway, yeah, so I can play PSP, and there's a pile of PSP games that I want to play. So I'm looking forward to trying these out. Here's another one. I've got a Sega Game Gear, as you know, but there's a lot of games on that are way too expensive now, like Game Gear Aleste. I can play that. Got some homebrews. I got Panzer Dragoon Mini, which I actually saw for sale at the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo for like $200. I was like, a little pricey. You know what? I can now play it on this thing. And under the links section, I've loaded up a bunch, but the one that kind of impresses me is now I can play Warbirds. When the Atari 50 collection came out, I thought, oh man, I want to be able to play Warbirds. Now I can. And it plays really, really well. I'm loving this thing here. Let's do a quick little dueling start. There you go. It's running great. And now I can finally play Warbirds. After hoping it was going to be in the Atari 50 collection, now I can actually do so. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Oh, anyway, I'll get too lost in that. Yeah, so I've got quite a few games, got some Atari stuff. I don't know about this Capcom CPS 2 and 3 stuff. If I want to get rid of that, I can actually just tap here, I think. Yeah, and I can select what I want and what I don't want. If I don't think I'll be playing any CPS stuff, I can just easily remove them from the list, which I think I will do for now. And now I've got a little more of a concise listing here. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff on here I'm not sure I'm going to play, but... And that's actually another factor. I'm not going to throw on a million games. Like, I'm not going to put every Game Boy game in here, every Super Nintendo game, or any Genesis game, because honestly, you get into a case of like an embarrassment of riches. I remember on the Completely Unnecessary podcast, Ian was talking about how the problem with flash carts is you get into that mode of, oh, it's cool, you've got that game. What else have you got? Oh, that's neat. What else have you got? Oh, that's on there too. Oh, that's cool. What else have you got? And you get into this sad case of like, you're looking at all of the games, you're not investing or playing one of them specifically, and that's kind of sad. So I'm going to make sure I only put on here games that I'm either going to play a lot or there's games that I've wanted to try out. Like, for example, here in the PlayStation section, Darkstalkers 3. Remember, I had seen that multiple times, and every time I see it, it goes up in price tag. There's games like that, like In the Hunt. That's another one. That one I had sort of seen somewhere, but they wanted a lot of money because the long box one is cheap, but the standard CD jewel case one is super expensive. Like, these games are going for way too much money nowadays. So I want to put on the stuff that I'm not going to be able to afford and play it later. That's my objective. Now, another thing that people might be wondering is, well, wait a minute, what about all your other mobile devices? Haven't you got, like, you've been playing stuff on the old iPod Touch forever and a day? True, but a couple of problems with the iPod Touch. First of all, it's an iPod Touch. It is no longer getting the support, like all the different networking things. I can download podcasts, and that's about it. All of the games that are on here and like the YouTube Studio app and all that kind of stuff, they're all getting messages now that this system or this particular version is no longer supported. And the battery's dying on this thing constantly. So my iPod is no longer the item that I use for gaming. I do have a phone, but I'm actually using that so much critically at work. I'm kind of like, I don't really want to lose its battery power. So this has actually filled a very nice niche that I hadn't really intended on. Here, I'm just going to turn up the brightness again because you need to be able to see outside of the Retroid. Something that I think is going to be really cool for this going forward is this little guy right here. I went and launched the game there, I think. Yeah, the HDMI mini port. I've actually got an HDMI cable here, which I'm going to connect. Okay, that goes to one end. There we go. I'm going to plug that in, and I want to try out what does that look like. So let's actually give that a shot next. Okay, and here we are. This is me using the HDMI out, and I can actually go ahead and select anything I like in here. Let's go with, I want to try another Saturn game, one that this output on the HDMI mini here, it's only 720p, and I think I want to just see what does say mass destruction look like. There's a line on the right hand side. Now that is going to always be there, but I think that's okay. You'll be able to tell. Always playing this on the Retroid. I think there's ways to get rid of that, but to be honest, yeah, anytime you see that little white line on the right hand side, that just means I'm using the Retroid instead of real hardware. But that's fine. I just want to play these games. So, okay, and we're in. Okay, there's sound. And what do I want to shoot? I'm sure I want to shoot something. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Now we can wreak havoc. Destroy everything in place. Woo! This game really earns its title. Mass destruction. Yeah, this is great, man. Okay, how about these? Ooh. Okay, I'm not quite strong enough to take on tanks, but let's just blow some stuff up here if we can. Oh no, here comes an airplane. Anyway, okay, so the HDMI definitely works. Now, if I quit out of here, and if I want to go back to, let's see, what's something a little else? Oh, I know. PS2. And here we go. There it is. Now, I love virtual racing for the... Whoa, that's to change view. Hang on. I love virtual racing on 32X. But this PS2 rendition, this looks amazing. This looks way closer to what there was for the arcade version. And now I can play it. Look at this. Look at me go. Whee! Oh, man. Now, I don't know, again, how great this is going to look for you. Again, it's 720p. Yikes, I'm talking and driving at the same time. It's 720p output, but that's okay. That's not bad at all. Woo! PS2, baby. Just want to show you in comparison now. Let's fire up just a standard Android game here. This is Huntdown, which is an awesome Blade Runner type game. I might do a video about this some point. Now, interestingly, this does cut off the sides of the screen, but it's quite manageable. This is a great Blade Runner fighting game type of thing, but I'm not going to really mess with it too much. I want to pick that up? Sure. This is out for modern consoles as well, PS4, Xbox, etc. But the fact that I can play this on this handheld is pretty darn impressive to me. Oh, here they come. Oh, that one did too much there. Ah.
Well, call me old-fashioned, but that was kind of sweet.
There we go. So, that's HDMI. It definitely works. Yeah, so color me impressed. There is the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. Working great, doing what I need it to do. And I think this actually has a couple of other uses that I might be able to do. Like, for example, I got Stitcher installed. Stitcher? Yeah, Stitcher's installed on there. So I can actually listen to podcasts on my way to work. You know, just put this thing in my pocket. Speaking of being in my pocket, I'm actually using my old Nintendo DS box, carrying case. This thing fits very nicely inside here, and I actually like it more than what is possible to be carried around, or what you can order for the Retroid. What I like most about it is, if I can just do that, you know, it does fit, so I'm reusing. It's a little loose that direction, but what I've done is, also, this little thumb pad here is kind of known that cap sometimes falls off, so, oh, I'm recording stuff. The concern I have is that this thing might actually get underneath there and pull that cap off. It would be preferable to me if, since this thing moves side to side, why don't I just keep it that way and make sure that thumbstick doesn't get in there. So what I did was I found an old piece of styrofoam from a clipper thing that I bought, and I actually just slide that down the side. And so now I've actually got the Retroid in a nice carryable format. And what I prefer about this over the official carrying case for the Retroid is that Retroid case is a little tall, whereas this one is nicely sandwiched. Like most of the carrying cases are about that tall because they've all got this idea that above the actual Retroid, you've got this space for like headphones and that kind of thing. This thing uses Bluetooth, so I don't need that. I've got a pair of Bluetooth headsets I've done a review of already. So this carrying case is going to work perfectly for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, and I'm going to keep using it. I've taken it to work a couple times already. Really, really love it. So there is the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. Again, not a setup, not something for people to learn. I'm going to put links below to Retro GamesWorld. He has done all of the setup. I followed him exactly, and that has worked. Let me just turn that off. That's worked perfectly for me, so I recommend you check out his channel for either this or the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus or 3. I'm happy with the 2 for the reasons I mentioned at the beginning of this video. This is going to work very nicely for me, and you're going to start seeing videos of games I could never afford, never get my hands on. They're too rare, they're too valuable, too whatever. Now I've got them in a format that I can play, and with that HDMI out, I'm going to be able to do more videos about more retro games. This is really, really cool. So there we go. My review is a big thumbs up for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. Even though the 3 is out, I'm going to be very, very happy with the 2 Plus. Okay, until next time, and again, apologies for all the delays. This thing took forever to get set up. But until next time, when videos become a little more frequent, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.